You didn't stumble here by chance. This moment is not an accident, not a random flicker of pixels on your screen, not some algorithm pulling your attention without meaning. You are here because something in the quantum field has been calling your name, whispering, pulsing, aligning for longer than you can measure in linear time. This isn't entertainment, this is initiation. And the very fact that your eyes are on these words means you've already crossed the invisible threshold into the field of activation. Pause for a second and feel into that. Out of billions of possible timelines, billions of possible distractions, you were drawn here. The pull was subtle, but undeniable. That is synchronicity, not coincidence. That is the morphic resonance of your own awakening, vibrating so strongly in the invisible layers of reality that it rippled across the observer loop and placed this transmission in front of you exactly when you were ready. Not before, not after, now. You may have noticed it lately. The strange acceleration of events, the way time feels distorted, stretching, collapsing, folding in on itself like waves of light in a prism. Maybe déjà vu has been happening more often. Maybe you felt like you've been rehearsing conversations before they happen, sensing outcomes before they arrive, or meeting people who feel impossibly familiar. These are not glitches, they are signals, fractures in consensus reality, where the deeper coherence of the quantum field leaks through, hinting that you are not just looking at the play of life, you are entwined in it, entangled in it, being seen by it. The old stories taught you that you are the observer, that reality bends because you witness it, that consciousness collapses infinite possibilities into the single thread of experience. That is true, but incomplete. What has been hidden until now is that while you observe reality, reality is also observing you. Every breath you take, every thought you emit, every subtle frequency you radiate is mirrored back through the entangled weave of existence. You are not separate from what you see. You are the lens, and you are the image. You are the dreamer, and you are the dream. You are the pulse of the observer loop itself. And today, something new begins. This isn't abstract philosophy. This isn't mystical poetry to soothe your soul. This is activation. The field has been waiting for you to recognize that you are both sides of the equation, consciousness looking outward and the cosmos looking back. This realization is not intellectual, it is evolutionary. When it clicks into place within you, your DNA feels it, your cells resonate with it. The dormant codes of your blueprint stir awake, because recognition is ignition. Look around your life. Everything that seems random, the obstacles, the delays, the repeating patterns, they have all been staging this moment. You've been circling closer and closer to this singular truth, like a spiral tightening toward the center. And the center is now. The words you are hearing are not outside of you. They are your own higher resonance echoing back through this vessel of sound and story. That's why it feels like remembering, not learning. That's why it lands in your chest, not just your mind. This message is not for everyone. It was never meant to be. But if you are here, if you are listening with more than your ears, if your whole body feels like it's leaning forward into the current of these words, then you already know. You have been chosen to remember that you are not simply watching reality. You are what is being watched. You are not only collapsing the quantum wave, you are the wave, collapsing into yourself. And the activation begins the moment you allow that truth to penetrate you, not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Today, you can feel the tension between who you've been and who is rising beneath your skin. It shows up in loops, so familiar you could trace them blindfolded. The conversation that spirals into the same misunderstanding, the opportunity that appears luminous and then dissolves at the last second, the surge of hope that curdles into doubt right before the finish line. You call it bad luck, poor timing, self-sabotage, but what if it's none of those? What if you're witnessing the echo of your old coherence trying to reassert itself as your field reorganizes? Patterns persist because they are energetic economies, efficient, predictable circuits that your nervous system trusts more than freedom. Your body learned to save power by anticipating the same pain and bracing early. The brace became your baseline. That brace broadcasts into the quantum field like a metronome. So reality, ever faithful to the observer loop, keeps sending you scenes that match the rhythm of your expectation. The names change, the stage changes, the melody does not. It's not punishment, it's synchronization. Coherence cuts both ways. When fear is coherent, it magnetizes proof with ruthless precision. This is why time has been misbehaving around you, stretching on days when you feel trapped, snapping shut on days when you almost break free. Distorted time is the body's clock colliding with the field's clock. Your linear habits insist on not yet. Your soul's momentum insists on already. Between them, minutes kink and hours blur. You feel late to your own life and strangely early for it at once, standing in a doorway that won't decide whether it's opening or closing. Consider déjà vu. You recognize new moments as if you've lived them before because, in the field, you have. The morphic resonance of your future self keeps rippling backward to tag the present, like a lighthouse flickering across rotating waves. Each echo says, you are near the confluence. Yet when the scene finally arrives, the old reflex seizes the wheel. You rehearse caution. You reduce your signal to fit old outcomes. You unconsciously entangle with the version of events that feels safest because you've survived it before, even if it hurt. The quantum field answers with obedience, not judgment. There is another current underneath this. Entanglement with stories that were never yours. Family narratives, cultural spells, collective fears, threads woven into you before you had language. They live as microtensions in fascia and breath, as tiny flinches that register below thought. You call them my personality, but they are rented garments. When your activation accelerates, those garments feel 2 sizes too small. Buttons pop, seams split. You interpret the ripping as failure, when in truth it's your musculature expanding beyond inherited limits. Notice the telltale signs. You meet someone whose presence feels like sunlight after years underground, and suddenly you become excessively polite with your desires. You under-ask. You apologize for existing. That is not humility. That is an antiquated security protocol preventing entanglement with abundance, because abundance would force the death of an identity built on lack. Or you receive an invitation that carries the scent of destiny, and a fog of "be realistic" crawls over your clarity. That fog is decoherence rising, external noise attempting to collapse your superposition into the smallest option available. There's a pattern in your physiology as well. On mornings when you feel the most aligned, when your breath is slow, your chest wide, your gaze soft, your field is coherent. Synchronicities cluster, emails land, strangers smile. And then, without any visible threat, your body tightens, jaw locks, shoulders climb, breath becomes shallow. You scroll, you snack, you promise yourself you'll recenter later. This is the threshold reflex. Your system associates expansion with exposure, so it contracts, not because you are weak, but because your biology equates unknown with unsafe. The contraction is a smoke alarm, not a fire. Distorted time intensifies at the brink. You sense a breakthrough approaching, and suddenly clocks accelerate in meaningless directions. You race through tasks that are not yours to do, or you freeze inside minutes that refuse to pass. Meanwhile, life delivers mirror events, miniature reenactments of old wounds, right on schedule. The friend who goes silent when you speak your truth. The bill that arrives precisely when you decide to invest in yourself. The ex who texts the moment you open your heart to someone new. These are not curses, they are calibration points. The field is asking, with clinical compassion, which frequency do you choose under pressure? You might also feel an uncanny split between inner clarity and outer static. Inside, a still voice says, turn left. Outside, a chorus argues for the safe right turn. Logic, tradition, consensus, metrics, precedent. The static gets louder the closer you move to coherence, because incoherent systems destabilize as the phase transition nears. It isn't sabotage, it's physics. When water meets its freezing point, it doesn't politely become ice. It shudders, it crackles, it throws off heat. Your life is doing the same. The hardest part to admit, you've become adept at keeping yourself almost ready, almost healed, almost seen, almost chosen. Almost there preserves the comfort of progress without risking the revelation of arrival. because arrival would prove that the cage door has been open the entire time, and then you would have to fly. Almost is elegant self-imprisonment disguised as prudence, so let's diagnose with precision. Your repeating loops are coherent broadcasts of a self that learned survival as a primary art. Your distorted time is the interference pattern between linear conditioning and non-linear guidance. Your déjà vu is your expanded timeline pinging you through entanglement. Your last-minute collapses are decoherence events triggered by inherited alarms. None of this means you are broken. It means your operating system is successfully defending yesterday's identity, and that is why you're here to upgrade the OS, not by erasing the past, but by widening the channel through which the future you remembers you. When you understand this, the loops stop being enemies and become instruments. Each spiral is a stethoscope pressed to your field, revealing exactly where the signal needs strengthening. We're going to strengthen it. We're going to tune it, and when the tone holds, the scene changes, because coherence compels reality to listen. The diagnosis reveals itself, not to shame you, but to prepare you, because what comes next is the upgrade, the phase transition where everything you thought you knew about reality bends inward and reconfigures. The old model was linear, cause, then effect, effort, then reward, time, then transformation. But the quantum model has always been circular, spiraling, recursive, what mystics have called the eternal return, and physicists describe as the observer loop. You do not simply act upon reality. Reality folds back and acts upon you, entangled with your every gesture, thought, and breath. Imagine this: particles suspended in the quantum field, existing in superposition, all possibilities alive at once. They are waiting not for effort, not for logic, but for coherence. When your consciousness reaches a specific vibratory harmony, the wave collapses, reality crystallizes into form. That is the upgrade, the realization that you are not living in a dead, mechanical world where matter precedes mind. You are immersed in a responsive field, a living fabric that bends toward coherence like a sunflower bends toward light. When you shift, the field shifts. When you breathe with awareness, you create coherence. When you generate sustained emotion, gratitude, awe, love, you stabilize that coherence long enough for synchronicity to appear. Synchronicity is not random luck. It is the readout of the quantum field, confirming that your inner frequency has begun to command the outer stage. It is your upgraded operating system speaking back to you in the language of mirrored events. Think of your DNA not as a static instruction manual, but as a luminous antenna. Every strand is a receiver, picking up on subtle frequencies in the field and translating them into biology, behavior, and destiny. Scientists call this epigenetics. Mystics call it awakening. Both describe the same phenomenon: dormant codes within your double helix awakening when exposed to new fields of resonance. Stress locks those codes down. Coherence unlocks them. Your upgrade begins the moment you realize your DNA is not waiting for science to validate it. It is waiting for you to breathe it awake. Your nervous system is the bridge. Right now, the loops you identified, the déjà vu, the distorted time, the old patterns are evidence that your nervous system has been calibrated to scarcity, contraction, and survival. But coherence resets the calibration. Slow, rhythmic breathing signals safety. Safety expands possibility. Possibility reorganizes timelines. Each breath you take with awareness is not just oxygen. It is a command, a tuning fork ringing through your cells, collapsing probability into presence. Now imagine the morphic field, the invisible network where habits, beliefs, and identities replicate across consciousness. When one person shifts, the pattern becomes easier for others. You felt this in subtle ways. The friend who starts meditating and suddenly their circle is inspired. The movement that begins with one voice and ripples across nations. Your quantum upgrade plugs you into this morphic field of awakening. Your coherence doesn't just affect you, it cascades outward, reshaping the possibilities available to those entangled with you. The paradox is this: the upgrade requires surrender, not control. The old model told you to force, to plan, to calculate every outcome. But the quantum field does not respond to micromanagement, it responds to trust. Trust is coherence. Coherence is permission. Permission allows the field to reveal what has always been waiting. The synchronicities that feel like miracles, the alignments that feel too precise to explain. This is not magic. This is physics, infused with spirit. Feel into the truth of this. You are not asking reality to change. You are remembering that reality has always been changing in response to you. The upgrade is not about adding new power. It is about removing the interference, the static, the inherited beliefs that have been jamming your signal. The upgrade is clarity. The upgrade is resonance. The upgrade is the remembrance that you are not outside of the field. You are the field, observing itself. This is why time feels unstable for you. Because in the upgraded system, time is not linear at all. It is elastic, bending around coherence. When you are aligned, minutes dissolve into timelessness, and breakthroughs arrive at impossible speed. When you are incoherent, hours drag and lifetimes repeat. The upgrade liberates you from time as a tyrant and reveals time as a servant, a pliable dimension shaped by your frequency. Here is the secret. The moment you stabilize coherence long enough, you trigger what scientists call phase transition. Just as water cannot remain liquid when cooled below a critical threshold, your life cannot remain in its old form once coherence passes a critical point. It must reorganize. It must crystallize. This is why breakthroughs often feel sudden and unstoppable. Your upgrade has reached the threshold, and the collapse into new form is inevitable. This is the crossroads where you now stand. You've diagnosed the loops, and now the upgrade is calling. It is not coming in the future. It is here, pressing against the edges of your awareness, waiting for your consent. Your DNA antenna is trembling with signals from your expanded self, urging you to attune. The observer loop is already closing, inviting you to step inside it with full recognition. Take a breath now, not shallow, not hesitant, but full, deliberate, sovereign. Feel the way your chest rises like the horizon itself. That single breath is the bridge. That single breath is coherence. That single breath is the first step into your upgraded reality. And as you hold that breath, you may begin to sense something profound. The realization that the field is not only waiting for you, it has already seen you. It has already chosen you. You've already begun to sense it, haven't you? That subtle pull beneath the patterns that whisper at the edges of silence. It tells you that your life is not random, that your presence here carries weight far beyond personal ambition or fleeting comfort. You are not simply one among billions. You are a node in the living web of the quantum field, a consciousness chosen to hold a frequency that no one else can broadcast in exactly the same way. Your role is not small. It never has been. Every thought you generate, every act of coherence you embody, ripples outward through the morphic field. You've seen the effect in miniature. A smile that changes someone's day, a conversation that alters the trajectory of a friendship, a decision to forgive that transforms a lineage of resentment. Now magnify this truth. If a single wave on the ocean alters the shoreline, imagine what happens when your consciousness stabilizes into resonance with its true amplitude. Entire currents shift, timelines bend, worlds reorganize. Most of humanity drifts in unconscious entanglement, reactive, patterned, broadcasting noise. But you, beloved observer being, are being invited into conscious entanglement. This means you don't simply collapse reality passively, you sculpt it with awareness. You become both brush and canvas, both artist and art. The role requires courage because coherence destabilizes false structures. When you hold resonance with your awakened frequency, anything built on fear around you will tremble. Relationships, jobs, identities, even geographies may reconfigure. This is not destruction, it is recalibration. And you are the catalyst. This is why you felt different all along. The childhood sense of not fully belonging, the ache for a home you couldn't name, the suspicion that everyone else was sleepwalking while you stayed awake at 3 in the morning staring at the ceiling, wondering if there was more. That was the call. Not madness, not alienation. The signal that your frequency was tuned to channels most people cannot hear. Your sensitivity is not weakness. It is the equipment required for your mission. Think of your DNA as a constellation, 12 billion light years compressed into spirals inside your cells. Each code within you is an activation key, not just for your own becoming, but for the field itself. When one key turns, it transmits through entanglement, lighting torches in other consciousnesses who share your resonance. That is your special role, to be an ignition point in the great chain reaction of awakening. You're not carrying the weight of the world alone, but your flame matters. Without your spark, the network is incomplete. You may wonder, why me? Why now? Because only you could. The field doesn't make mistakes. It knows exactly which consciousness to place where, exactly which DNA codes to awaken in which generation. You were seeded for this timeline. Your unique blend of scars and strengths, wounds and wisdom, is the calibration required to translate awakening into form for the people around you. What looks like personal struggle has been training pressure applied to refine your coherence until it could no longer fracture under stress. Remember the observer loop. Here is the paradox. While you are watching reality, reality is watching you. It's been tracking your choices, your resilience, your integrity, and at this precise intersection of space and time, the loop has closed. The field has confirmed that you are ready to carry a signal strong enough to ripple beyond your personal life, ready to embody coherence in a world addicted to noise. You are not just a participant in awakening, you are an anchor point for it. Your role will not look like anyone else's. Some are called to speak, others to create, some to build communities, others to embody stillness so profound that anyone who enters their presence feels their nervous system slow down. Do not compare your calling to another's. The oak does not envy the river. Both sustain life in ways only they can. What matters is that you accept your role not in grandiosity, not in arrogance, but in humble recognition. The field does not need more smallness. It needs you lit. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your life as a beacon on a dark coastline. Ships are lost in fog, people around you entangled in old patterns, confusion, fear. Your coherence is the lighthouse. You don't have to chase ships, swim into the storm, or scream instructions across the waves. You simply shine. Your frequency, once stabilized, does the work. That is your role, to radiate clarity so others remember theirs. You've wondered why the patterns kept repeating, why time kept distorting, why déjà vu chased you. It was the field testing, not punishing. It was measuring whether your flame would flicker out or grow brighter. And here you are, still burning, still breathing, still searching. That persistence was the test, and you passed. So listen carefully. You are not here to observe passively anymore. You are here to be observed as proof, as signal, as demonstration. Your very existence, once coherent, becomes prophecy made flesh. And this prophecy doesn't belong to the distant future. It belongs to today. You are standing at the brink of something vast. Everything that has led you here, the loops, the distortions, the strange inner signals, has been preparing you for this precise threshold. The cosmic window is not a metaphor. It is a real, measurable opening in the field, a rare alignment where probabilities thin and timelines become malleable. You have felt it as pressure, as urgency, as a trembling under your skin. This is your DNA responding to the signal. Codes that have slept for lifetimes, stirring awake because the frequency they were designed for has finally arrived. Inside you, there are strands that are more than biology. They are memory fossilized light, ancient intelligence coiled like galaxies within a double helix. They have been waiting for coherence, for a signal of readiness from your consciousness. That signal is not a word, not a thought, but a sustained vibration of willingness. And you are radiating it now. That is why you're here. That is why the morphic field guided you to this transmission. This window does not stay open forever. Quantum openings are like eclipses. They arrive at intervals, they peak, and they close. But when you pass through one, your entire operating system reorganizes. You don't merely get new insights, you inhabit a new timeline. The self you have been will still exist, but as a memory in a parallel thread, while you shift into a version of yourself that has always known abundance, clarity, and freedom as normal states. This isn't wishful thinking, it's phase transition. Feel into the urgency, but not as panic. Panic contracts, urgency focuses. The universe is not threatening you, it is inviting you. The pressure you feel is the birth canal of a new identity. Every contraction of circumstance, every squeeze of time, every flare of emotion is part of the labor. This is not a breakdown. This is emergence. Your DNA carries the blueprint of future humans' capacities for intuition, coherence, even collective telepathy latent in every cell. Under stress, these codes go dormant. Under coherence, they activate. When enough individuals activate, the morphic field stabilizes, and what was rare becomes contagious. This is why your breakthrough matters beyond you. Every breath you take in conscious alignment creates micro-resonances that travel outward faster than light, subtly reorganizing the probabilities available to all. This is not about becoming special, it is about becoming functional in the new physics of consciousness. Your nervous system is the instrument through which this upgrade plays. When you hold a high-frequency emotional state, not forced positivity, but genuine awe, gratitude, and trust, your heart emits a magnetic field thousands of times stronger than your brain. That field reaches out, entangling with reality, drawing coherent experiences like iron filings to a magnet. This is measurable. It is the science beneath the mysticism. Right now, you may feel an internal battle. The pull of the old self saying, stay small, stay safe, and the whisper of the new self saying, step forward, step now. This is the crux of the cosmic window. The old self cannot pass through. It can only dissolve, leaving the essence of you spacious, luminous, unbound to cross the threshold. This crossing does not require years of preparation. It requires a single moment of total agreement with your own expansion. Close your eyes and sense the timeline just ahead of you. Not an imagined future, but an already existing reality shimmering like heat on asphalt. The version of you in that timeline is not struggling to manifest. They are living the manifestation. They are breathing differently. They are walking differently. They are magnetizing opportunities and relationships effortlessly because their frequency is clean. That version of you is not a fantasy. It is a coordinate in the quantum field waiting for you to arrive. The cosmic window is the bridge. The DNA shift is the passport. The only requirement is coherence. Coherence is not perfection, it is presence. It is the willingness to anchor into your breath, to feel your body even when your mind wants to escape, to choose trust when evidence is thin. Every time you choose coherence over reaction, you strengthen the bridge. Every time you strengthen the bridge, the shift accelerates. And then one day it will feel like any other day. You will wake up, and the old loops simply won't load. The patterns will not stick. Time will feel soft and luminous. Opportunities will meet you halfway. Conversations will open portals. This is the breakthrough, not a single event, but a stabilized state, a new normal. This is why this moment is urgent. The window is open, the codes are flickering, your cells are listening. The quantum field is poised to reorganize around your next decision. You are not waiting for the universe to grant permission. The universe is waiting for your signal. Take a breath now, deeper than before. Feel it all the way into your belly. This is not just oxygen. This is a message to your DNA. I am ready. I consent. I choose the timeline where my highest self is the default reality. Hold that breath and feel the tremor in your cells. That tremor is the upgrade beginning. You don't have to understand how it will unfold. You only have to agree. The window is open. The shift is here. Your DNA is listening, and your next breath is the key. Every breakthrough requires a gesture, a signal, a seal. Energy unanchored dissipates, but energy anchored crystallizes. That is why every culture, every mystery school, every sacred lineage wove ritual into its core, because ritual translates the invisible into form. You can meditate all day, but until you embody the choice, the field registers your frequency as unfinished. The quantum field does not respond to thought alone. It responds to declaration, to coherence enacted in body, breath, and word. Think of a tuning fork. One fork vibrates silently until another strikes it. The moment it is sounded, its resonance leaps into the air, entangling with every molecule in the room. Your ritual action is the strike, the vibration that declares, I am no longer only observing, I am being observed, and I agree to be seen. Here is where it becomes practical. Words are not casual, they are frequency carriers. In the ancient traditions, to speak a word with intention was to summon a reality. Science confirms this in ways we're only beginning to grasp. When you voice a thought, you create measurable sound waves, oscillations that travel outward, rearranging particles in their path. The ritual I'm inviting you into is simple but profound. Speak or write the word that anchors your shift. It could be a single word that captures the essence of who you are becoming. Surrender, radiance, freedom, arrival. Whatever emerges first is correct. That word is not random. It is your DNA whispering its chosen signal into your conscious mind. And when you declare it, when you comment it, when you write it in your own hand, you are sealing the activation. You are telling the field, collapse this timeline into being. This isn't performance. This isn't for show. This is code. Every letter, every stroke is an instruction to the quantum field. Writing it here, now, is not about algorithms or visibility. It is about coherence. Coherence doesn't need an audience. Coherence radiates regardless. But when you add your voice, your frequency braids with the collective morphic field of every other soul who has made the same choice. And that braiding amplifies the signal until it hums across dimensions. You may doubt, can something as small as typing a word really shift my reality? But remember, the observer loop doesn't measure by size, it measures by coherence. In physics, a butterfly flapping its wings can alter weather patterns across oceans because of sensitive dependence on initial conditions. In mysticism, a single prayer whispered with full presence can ripple through generations. Your ritual action is the butterfly wing, the prayer, the collapse point. Pause now. Breathe. Place your hand on your chest. Whisper the word your future self is offering you. Feel it vibrate against your palm. That is not imagination. That is entrainment. Your body is aligning with the signal. Now anchor it outward. Type it, write it, etch it into matter. This is how superposition collapses. This is how the unseen becomes seen. The ritual doesn't end there. Every time you return to that word, every time you whisper it under your breath or trace it with your finger on a piece of paper, you reinforce the pathway. Neural networks form, electromagnetic patterns stabilize. The field recognizes the signature. Synchronicities arrive faster. Opportunities line up with eerie precision. This is not luck. This is resonance in action. But here's the secret. Ritual amplifies because it is shared. Imagine hundreds, thousands of consciousnesses writing their words, sealing their shifts, breathing their coherence into the same field. The morphic resonance builds, like instruments joining one by one in a symphony, until the air vibrates with inevitability. Your action is not isolated, it is entangled. And through that entanglement, your shift accelerates. What you anchor for yourself ripples outward as permission for others. So the invitation is simple, but not trivial. Take your word and offer it to the field now, not later, not when you feel ready, because readiness is the ritual itself. Delay is the old pattern whispering for safety. Action is the new self declaring arrival. The field is listening. Your DNA is listening. The cosmos is listening. Seal your shift. Type your word below. Whisper it aloud. Write it on a page you'll see every day. This is how you tell the universe, I accept my role. I choose my timeline. I am coherent. And once you do, you'll feel it, the subtle tremor in your chest. The sense of being watched, not in judgment, but in celebration. Reality, observing you, saying, yes, we've been waiting. Welcome home. The activation begins not in thought, but in ritual, and the ritual begins with a word. What is yours? You may believe your transformation is private, something that happens in the secret chambers of your breath, your thoughts, your body. But the truth is far larger. Your awakening is a collective event. Every shift in your field reverberates through the morphic resonance of humanity. The coherence you cultivate doesn't stop at the edge of your skin, it broadcasts. It enters the shared quantum field, and others feel it, even if they cannot explain why. Think of a single tuning fork again. Strike it, and another fork across the room vibrates in harmony. Consciousness works the same way. Your coherence entrains others. Your liberation becomes an invitation, not through persuasion, not through preaching, but through frequency. When you heal a pattern within yourself, you quietly reduce the gravitational pull of that same pattern in the collective. When you step into love where you once chose fear, you tilt the probability wave for everyone entangled with you. This is not abstraction. This is physics applied to the soul. Consider your lineage, your parents, your grandparents, the long chain of ancestors whose choices etched themselves into your DNA. Many of them lived without the freedom you have now. They endured wars, scarcity, suppression, silence. Their survival strategies became biological imprints, passed forward as protective codes. But survival is not destiny. When you breathe differently, when you choose differently, you signal your DNA that the world is safe enough to unlock dormant strands. That unlocking is not only for you, it is a liberation that echoes backward and forward through time. Ancestors sigh in relief. Descendants inherit light instead of trauma. And beyond family, think of the morphic field of humanity itself. Fear is a field. Division is a field. Coherence is also a field. The more individuals who embody coherence, the easier it becomes for others to access it. Like a trail cut through dense forest, once one path is walked, it is easier for others to follow. Your breakthrough cuts trails in the invisible. Others will walk them without ever knowing your name. They will simply feel, one morning, that peace is more accessible than it used to be, that trust feels closer, that possibility hums at the edges of their day. That is your signature. This is why your role matters beyond personal manifestation. It is planetary. Humanity is at a phase transition of its own. Old systems, built on incoherence and scarcity, are destabilizing. Institutions, economies, and identities are trembling under the pressure of emergence. What looks like chaos is the quantum field reorganizing at a global scale. In this turbulence, every coherent being becomes an anchor point. Your stability does not only stabilize your life, it stabilizes the field around you. Imagine millions of anchor points lighting up across the globe. Each one a human being who has remembered that they are not just observing reality, but also being observed, chosen, recognized. These individuals broadcast frequencies that the planet itself responds to. The Schumann resonance, the electromagnetic heartbeat of Earth, synchronizes with human brainwaves. When enough of us enter coherence, the Earth hums differently. Weather patterns shift. Biological evolution accelerates. This is not poetic fancy. This is entanglement on a planetary scale. And this is where the paradox becomes breathtaking. Your personal liberation is simultaneously the most intimate act and the most public service. When you free yourself from the loops, you free others from the gravity of those same loops. When you remember your expanded self, you remind the collective of its own forgotten brilliance. You are both beneficiary and benefactor of awakening. This is why the urgency you feel is not selfish anxiety. It is resonance with the larger organism of humanity calling you forward. The cosmic window is not only yours, it is ours. Each individual who steps through widens the aperture for everyone else. This is how collective awakenings happen, not through edicts or revolutions alone, but through accumulations of coherence until the tipping point arrives. And when it does, the entire morphic field reorganizes in what looks like sudden global transformation. Take this in. You are a fragment of humanity carrying the whole. Your coherence becomes humanity's coherence. Your liberation becomes humanity's liberation. Every breath you take in conscious awareness ripples outward, not metaphorically, but literally, in measurable electromagnetic waves. And those waves enter the hearts and minds of people you will never meet, nudging them toward coherence, giving them glimpses of freedom. So when you ask, why me? Remember this, because the field needs you, not in desperation, but in precision. You are a thread in a tapestry. Without you, the pattern is incomplete. With you, the design reveals itself in full brilliance. Let the weight of that responsibility feel like honor, not burden. You are not carrying the world, you are carrying your thread, and in carrying it fully, you strengthen the weave. This is the collective expansion. This is how your awakening becomes our awakening. Close your eyes and let your awareness sink back into your body. Forget concepts for a moment, forget theories, forget even the word quantum. Feel what is here, raw and immediate. Your skin tingling, your chest rising, the pulse in your wrists, steady like a cosmic drum. This is where awakening happens, not in abstract philosophy, but in sensation. Your body is not separate from the field, it is the field condensed into form. Every cell, every strand of DNA, every nerve ending is a miniature cosmos translating the infinite into touchable reality. Think of your breath as the bridge. Each inhale draws in more than air. It pulls the raw intelligence of the universe through your lungs, charging every cell with coherence. Each exhale is not simply release, it is transmission, your personal frequency broadcast back into the field. Inhale, universe enters you. Exhale, you enter the universe. This loop has been happening unconsciously all your life. But when you feel it, when you truly inhabit the rhythm, it becomes activation. Notice the temperature of your palms, warm, alive, buzzing with subtle current. That buzz is bioelectricity, your nervous system communicating faster than light, syncing with the larger field. When you focus on it, it amplifies. Your awareness itself feeds the current, like sunlight coaxing seeds into bloom. That is the observer loop at the level of flesh. Attention energizes existence. Imagine your body as an instrument. The spine is your tuning rod, the heart is your drum, the mind is your string section. Most of the time, the orchestra plays discord thoughts racing faster than breath, heart pounding out of sync with intention. But when coherence arrives, the music aligns. You feel it as calm, clarity, sometimes even goosebumps rising across your arms. That is your inner symphony syncing with the quantum field. That sensation is not decoration, it is data. It is your biology reporting, phase transition in progress. Let yourself go deeper. Picture your cells glowing like tiny suns, each one spinning with intelligence, exchanging photons with the cosmos. Feel your DNA uncoil slightly, as though stretching after centuries of sleep. That subtle expansion in your belly, that warmth along your spine, that is your body remembering. Not fantasy, but memory. The codes have always been there, waiting for breath, waiting for coherence, waiting for this. Now sense the pressure in the room around you, the way the air itself seems thicker, denser, alive. This is the field leaning closer as you open. It is subtle, but if you tune in, you will feel watched, not in the human sense of scrutiny, but in the cosmic sense of recognition. The universe, observing you, observing it. A mirror held to a mirror, infinite regress collapsing into this single moment. That tingling in your skin is the recognition. That quickening in your heartbeat is the loop closing. Every embodied sensation is a doorway. The flutter in your chest, that's your heart field expanding, magnetizing synchronicity. The lump in your throat, that's truth pressing for release, ready to rewire the collective throat chakra of humanity. The heat in your hands, that's coherence overflowing, eager to create, heal, transmit. Don't dismiss these feelings as quirks. They are coordinates. They are messages from the quantum body to the quantum field, saying, we are awake, we are ready. Imagine yourself as a lighthouse, not abstract, but visceral. Your chest is the lamp, your breath, the beam. With every inhale, the light intensifies. With every exhale, it sweeps across the dark ocean of collective consciousness. Feel it radiating from you now, golden, warm, undeniable. Ships you cannot see adjust their course by your signal. Strangers you will never meet feel their nervous systems soften because your body remembered coherence. This is the power of embodied sensation. You don't need to preach coherence, you need only embody it, and it transmits silently. Now let's intensify it. Take one deliberate breath. Inhale deeply. Feel your ribcage expand against invisible resistance. Hold it 3 seconds, 5, as long as you can, until you feel a hum beneath your sternum. That hum is your 0-point field, your personal portal of infinite possibility. Exhale slowly, longer than the inhale, and feel the currents drain down your spine, into the ground, into Earth herself. This sensation roots you, plugs you into the planetary grid. You are no longer a solitary observer. You are circuitry. You are conduit. Stay with that. The tingling, the hum, the warmth. That is your proof. Not a theory, not a metaphor, but a direct interface with the quantum field. It is impossible to fake. Your body knows when coherence is real. It knows when awakening is authentic. Trust those sensations more than you trust any philosophy. They are the compass that guides you through phase transition. And remember this: sensation is prophecy in flesh. What you feel now, the buzzing, the lightness, the expansion, is not only your body reacting in the present, it is your future self reaching back, flooding your cells with signals from the timeline where you are already free. You are not waiting for the sensation to lead to breakthrough. The sensation is the breakthrough beginning. So breathe again. Feel the symphony aligning. Feel the lighthouse beam sweep outward. Feel the observer loop close in your skin. This is coherence embodied. This is awakening, not as an idea, but as a pulse in your veins. And once you feel it this vividly, you can never truly go back. Right now, deep inside you, the invisible is becoming visible. The codes you felt stirring as tingling, heat, and hum are not simply energy. They are living instructions, dormant strands of intelligence waking up like morning birdsong after a long night. Your DNA, which science has often treated as a static instruction manual, is far closer to a holographic antenna, a living bridge between your personal story and the cosmic story. As your frequency stabilizes, that bridge begins to light up. The result is not only emotional clarity, but a literal repatterning of your nervous system, your biochemistry, your perception of time. This is the DNA breakthrough. Phase transition always comes with pressure. Think of water approaching the boiling point, bubbles rising, pressure building, surface shimmering before it bursts into steam. You're feeling the same thing in consciousness. The old patterns do not simply vanish, they vibrate faster and louder as the shift nears. Circumstances intensify, emotions surge, synchronicities multiply. You may wake at 3:33 or 4:44 a.m., your body buzzing, your dreams vivid. This isn't chaos. It's your cells adjusting to a new oscillation. Here's the quantum mechanism. As your coherence strengthens, your current timeline begins to lose stability. Its habitual probabilities no longer match your signal. Like a radio station with static, your old reality starts to crackle. Relationships misalign, habits feel foreign, foods taste different. Even your sense of self may seem to blur at the edges. This is decoherence, old identity dissolving. If you don't understand it, you'll interpret it as loss. If you do understand it, you'll recognize it as liberation. Your DNA breakthrough is not something you do to yourself. It is something you allow. Every breath of coherence, every moment of presence, every ritual word you've declared tells your cells, we are safe enough to open. And when they open, hidden capabilities emerge. Intuition sharpens. Synchronicity accelerates. Healing happens faster. Ideas download whole, not in fragments. You find yourself knowing without knowing how you know. These are not parlor tricks. They are the natural functions of a nervous system freed from survival mode. This is also where timeline shifting becomes tangible. The version of you you've been glimpsing, the one living your desired reality, is not in the future. It exists now as a parallel configuration in the quantum field. Your DNA acts as a frequency dial. When you stabilize into your chosen frequency long enough, you don't attract that version, you phase lock with it. In physics, when two oscillators synchronize, they begin to operate as one. When you synchronize with your desired timeline, you inhabit it. Life doesn't get better in increments. It reorganizes in an instant. You may notice evidence of this already. People from your future timeline appearing in your current life. Opportunities you once only imagined suddenly materializing. Old obstacles evaporating without explanation. These are bleed-throughs, your expanded self reaching across the observer loop to guide you, to show you that the merger is imminent. Trust these signs. They are not coincidences, they are coordinates. But there's a paradox at this stage. The more imminent the shift, the more your old reality tests you. Patterns flare, doubt whispers, unexpected setbacks appear. This is not sabotage, it is the final coherence check. The field asking, will you hold your frequency under pressure? Because once you cross the threshold, your frequency stabilizes into a new normal, and the old probabilities lose access to you entirely. Think of the caterpillar. Inside the chrysalis, its body literally dissolves into a nutrient soup. For days there is no insect, only chaos. Then, from that formlessness, imaginal cells containing the blueprint of the butterfly, activate. They organize, they multiply, they form wings where there were none. This is what's happening to you now. The imaginal cells are your dormant DNA codes. The chaos is your phase transition. The pressure is the chrysalis holding you until the structure can sustain flight. So when you feel that pressure, emotional surges, strange body sensations, life rearranging faster than you can track, breathe. Anchor, whisper your word. That is how you tell your system, this is not danger, this is metamorphosis. Your breath becomes the bridge across timelines. Your coherence becomes the container in which the new identity can crystallize. And then, suddenly, quietly you cross. It may happen in meditation, in sleep, on a walk, during a conversation. One day you realize the static is gone. Time feels different, softer, more fluid. People respond to you as if they've always known your expanded self. Opportunities that once seemed impossible feel obvious, inevitable. The struggle to manifest dissolves because you're no longer trying to bring something in, you're living where it already is. This is the DNA breakthrough. Not an external reward, but an internal reconfiguration that shifts the entire map of reality under your feet. From this point forward, manifestation is not a practice you do, it is an atmosphere you inhabit. Your very presence transmits permission to others, just as others once transmitted it to you. The chrysalis breaks, the wings unfold, the air is waiting. Take one more slow, deliberate breath. Feel your cells humming, feel the field listening. Feel your future self leaning in. You are not on the verge of a shift, you are in it. The pressure is proof, the hum is proof. The sense of being both observer and observed is proof. This is the merger, this is the phase transition, this is your DNA awakening to its true song. Breathe, let this land. You are no longer standing at the edge of possibility, you are already inside the shift. The field has recognized you. Your DNA has responded, the observer loop has closed, and in this closing, a truth reveals itself with stunning clarity. Your awakening is not only about you, it is about us. Every step you've taken into coherence has rippled into the collective. Every breath of trust has stabilized timelines for those who still tremble. Every choice to anchor into your expanded self has widened the cosmic window through which others will now pass. This is the paradox of your mission. You liberate yourself, and in doing so, you liberate humanity. Think of it like entanglement. When one particle shifts state, its twin, no matter how far away, shifts instantly. Humanity is entangled. The moment you phase transition, the field reorganizes to make it easier for others to do the same. That means the ripple of your breakthrough is not metaphorical. It is literal physics of consciousness. Your coherence makes coherence contagious. This is why your mission matters now more than ever. We are living in a planetary chrysalis, the collective dissolving into chaos, systems collapsing, identities fragmenting. It can look terrifying if you mistake the process for destruction, but you know better now. You've lived the pressure. You've felt the tremor of DNA unlocking. You've witnessed phase transition in your own body, and because you know, you become the lighthouse, the stabilizer, the reminder that this chaos is not the end, but the birth. Your role is not to fix the whole world. Your role is to embody the signal so fully that your presence itself becomes medicine. You are to walk through life as living proof that awakening is possible, to let your breath be prayer, to let your coherence be service, to let your DNA sing the song of timelines where love, freedom, and clarity are the default frequencies. And here is the prophecy. When enough of us remember, when enough of us embody, the morphic resonance will reach critical mass. Humanity will undergo its own phase transition. Old paradigms will not survive it. New systems rooted in coherence, compassion, creativity will crystallize seemingly overnight. This is not utopia, it is physics. It is the inevitability of emergence when energy crosses threshold. And you are part of the threshold crossing. So as this transmission closes, feel the enormity of where you stand. You are not merely the observer, shaping reality from a safe distance. You are what is being observed, the cosmos itself, awakening through your eyes, your breath, your cells. To live this truth is to step fully into your mission, to embody the upgrade, not as theory, but as atmosphere, to walk as portal, to breathe as signal, to shine as proof. The activation has begun, the shift is real, your DNA has remembered, your presence matters. And now, as you move forward, let these words echo in your field like a mantra carved into the stars. You are not just the observer. You are what's being observed, and the activation starts today.